Republican Sarah Palin, and I talk politics for the next hour. Tonight, Sarah Palin, she's on the road again, and makes a pit stop at their television studios. I'll be asking Sarah questions she's received in previous talks, and I have asked her to reply with the exact quotes of her original responses, as recorded in transcripts of her replies. Sarah is recently back from Alaska, pushing drilling for oil in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, pushing for women to behave like grizzly bears, and preaching Tea Party politics from her pulpits at Fox News, YouTube and Facebook. After all the speeches and interviews you have given lately, an impressively large and ever-growing number of people are coming away with the opinion that, for the most part, you don't know what you are talking about. That you basically BS your way through issues. That rather than admit your lack of knowledge, you instead take the hum a few bars and fake it approach. People point out that you prefer to honor ignorance. That you hold knowledgeable people in contempt, and imply that they are untrustworthy. That your talks and speeches are, for the most part, just so much gibberish lacking any real solid information. In tonight's interview I'd like to review some of these stands you've taken, in order to confirm or deny this groundswell of public opinion. To start with, for example, in your recent interview with Katie Couric, you mentioned you disagreed with the Supreme Court decision on Roe versus Wade.
Well, let's see. But that is of course in the great history of America there have been rulings. That's never going to be absolute consensus by every American, and there are those issues, again, like Roe versus Wade, where I believe, are best held on a state level and addressed there. So, going through the history of America, there would be others. But,
Well, there was a blast of the gibberish we've heard so much about. Are there any other Supreme Court decisions you disagree with?
Well, I could think of any again that could best be dealt with on a more local level maybe I would take issue with. But, as a mayor, and then as a governor, and even as a vice president, if I'm so privileged to serve, I would be in a position of changing those things, but in supporting the law of the land as it reads today.
I see. In other words, you don't even have a clue. Moving on to the next question. In the 2008 campaign, John McCain said of you that you know more about energy than probably anyone else in the United States of America. What can you tell us about oil and coal?
Oil and coal. Of course it's a fungible commodity and they don't flag, the molecules, where it's going, and where it's not, so I believe that what Congress is going to do, also, is not to allow the export bans to such a degree, that it's Americans that get stuck holding the bag without the energy source that is produced here, pumped here.
Stunning. It's evident you have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I understand in your recent Fox interview with Greta Van Susteren you spoke of Africa. Can you tell us a little more about that?
So we discussed what was going on in Africa. And never ever did I talk about, is it a country, or is it a continent? I just don't know about this issue.
Sarah, you're telling me you don't know if Africa is a country or continent? Holy Toledo, your ignorance is astounding. You're definitely not smarter than a fifth grader. Wow. Okay then. Next question. What's your stand on vegetarianism?
If God had not intended for us to eat animals, how come he made them out of meat?
Sarah, the degree of stupidity in your question is truly immeasurable. Have you considered signing up for an adult ed course in remedial elementary school secular education? Coming up, Sarah's views on gun controls, religion and the Tea Party. It's all ahead. We cover everything tonight, stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.